The St. Thomas Cemetery Company was formed in 1850 and was incorporated in 1869 by an act of provincial parliament. At the time, the founding fathers initiated and established a board of directors. The St. Thomas Cemetery Company became a registered charity in 1988, and it currently employs 3 full-time people. The yearly cost to operate the cemetery is approximately $199,000. Now, with which $140,000 of that funding is already in place. The St. Thomas Cemetery receives each year a grant from the City of St. Thomas in the amount of $59,000. This amount is not asked for every year as it was allocated to the cemetery each year. This year, the City of St. Thomas has granted the Talbot Teen Center 3 times the amount they used to get, and the Art Gallery also received a very large grant. Mayor Heather Jackson stated in an article in the Toronto Star that all the work at the cemetery could be contracted out for less than $59,000. Where she came up with this number, only she knows, for the total operating budget is $199,000 per year. The West Ave Cemetery has 19,000 graves, and it takes 2 full-time employees 6 days to cut the grass. South Park Cemetery, which is also owned by the St. Thomas Cemetery Company, was purchased back in 1912. The land at that time housed a welding farm. South Park Cemetery is 25 acres, and currently 12 acres are developed and 13 acres are rented as farmland. It takes 2.5 people 1 day to cut the grass at South Park. This city council is making a very large mistake in not granting the money to the cemetery, and don't let yourselves be fooled by our current mayor's lack of knowledge in thinking that everything can be contracted out for $59,000, as she has stated in the Toronto paper. For the past 2 years, the City of St. Thomas has not been able to keep roads and sidewalks clear of snow and ice, and they for sure will not be able to get into the cemetery business and have everything looking the way it is now. All the employees at the St. Thomas Cemetery Company take great pride and care in their work and are very proud of the history of the cemetery. In fact, they care so much that every Halloween they staff the cemetery to make sure that no one goes in there on Devil's Night and does any damage. Neighbors that live around the cemetery also keep watch and take pride of the cemetery. How important is the $59,000 from the city?
It's 1/3 of our budget. Okay, so what happens is we have a little bit of reserve funds. We use them from January, February, March, right? Then when March hit, or April usually hits, we get our grant money. We're able to put our little bit of reserves back, and that's for our capital stuff that we're going to do. If we need a new lawnmower, we need whatever, right? Repairs. So we've used it. So it's what sees us through. Because we have money coming in. A little bit here, $400 or $600 or $700 there. So desperately important. Besides the cemetery being a burial ground, which is true, you wouldn't believe the number of people that come here for comfort, peace, counseling.
Okay, here you are. Let's talk about that. The people that have contacted you, like the Van Buskerts, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the petition and the family members that have already contacted you that have generations in here.
Okay. Well, let's go back to when I came here, because that's important. When I came here, the cemetery was scattered. It was not organized. The funeral directors didn't want to send people here, and we had to rebuild that business. In those days, we were lucky if our income was $40,000 a year. It was very, very low. So that faith that the people had in us had to grow. Our entire system was wonky at best. You can't look up plots with crossover family members if you've got everything filed alphabetically. We have no system of cross-referencing, of searching for people, of seeing who was buried here. They just did not. The prior people, every person tried to add a little piece to the vision, but it never went. And the past years of administration, there was so much theft that happened. They, through the board of directors, they had people in here that were misappropriating funds, that were using things from the probably about 57 up, right up. And because they didn't have the money, they weren't getting good people. So we're getting people that they were easy to take advantage of. So when I came, I'm organized and I needed a system. And I revamped the whole thing. So when the family started to come back to the cemetery, they could see that. They could see that there was work being done outside, work being done organized inside. I mean, inside organized means outside organized, right? And that's just started to come. And then that brought the people back. And then in 2007, we started to do our getting in touch. And I started to send newsletters, and I built the database so that then we could keep in touch with them. We started the historic moments. Family members were getting that little bit of St. Thomas back. Till now, we send out 700 newsletters. So, what else can I
do
tell
some
you?
of the current family members now, have they been able to learn stuff about their ancestors in here now?
Absolutely, because they're coming back to do genealogy, right?
Yeah.
And through that sort of searching and through my database, I'm able to say, well, did you know that maybe this family has that last name as well? Right? Or we've got this crossover, because I'm able to look up the information for them in different ways.
Right.
Right.
So today, now with the petition started, what's happening? What is their reaction towards the city?
And a lot of them aren't from the city, and they just can't believe that the city thinks they could take better care of the cemetery because they know that I care.
Right.
Right?
Right. In the history of the cemetery, just off the top, like offhand, what are some of the more famous people that are in here? Like, we know we have the former Premier of Ontario, Mitchell Hepburn.
We've got Billy Barnett.
There's the
gentleman who killed Jumbo. We have umpteen. We have Dr. Curtis, which probably has delivered half the people that live in this city. Both Dr. Curtises. One of my favorite, because of course I'm a woman, so you have to get the woman one. St. Thomas produced the first woman doctor, Dr. Margaret Corliss. Her daughter died when she was about 6 years old, and after that, Margaret went on to become a doctor. Yeah,
Wow.
I think she became a doctor in 1896. I'm terrible with numbers that way. But, I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
We also Thomas had a very good medical school then.
The Sheriff
Monroe.
With his... was it his wife that was...
His wife was Alma, and therefore Alma College is named after his
Which then
wife.
we also have the principal from Alma College.
Yeah, Dr. Warner.
And Drake's, the very first two graves.
Very first two graves, Margaret.
Yeah.
And so Margaret Drake is the wife of Benjamin Drake, William, who owned the property, his son, and then Isabel is their daughter, the daughter of Daniel, Benjamin Drake, and his second wife.
And it was reported that they are buried on the most beautiful part of the farm.
Yeah.
Okay. 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Where do you want to see this place? What do you want to see for the company?
It's funny that you asked that, because we've had this proposal for South Park and this whole new building. And I have extremely struggled with the whole concept of moving to West Ave, because this is my space.
Yeah, literally. I mean,
literally.
You have your plot is here too.
My plot is here too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at first, my knee-jerk reaction when they said that they weren't giving us the grant, and I knew what that was saying for the future, my knee-jerk reaction was, I am taking that bench out of here, and I'm moving to South Park in the morning. I'm not going to stay in this city.
Deep feelings.
But now I've sort of calmed down and realized that.
Yeah. Emotions do run high.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm emotionally connected to this place. My son, he's 20 years old. He said, "Mom, we grew up in the cemetery with you. We don't know any other place. You've been here so long that we rode our bikes in here."
What? Well, 5, 6 at the
Daniel
time?
would have been 5 when I started here, working here.
Yeah,
Well, maybe just might have been 6.
Yeah. So you're going on, you're pressing the 15 years.
I can't remember if it's this year or if it's actually, I think it's this year. 15 years this year. That's a long time to be here.
If the city does wind up getting into the cemetery business, what is your fear of what will happen here? Is it just there won't be the care, the upkeep? What's your fear?
My fear? Because they won't care about my people like I do. It's an involved thing, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's going to walk through that door, they're going to say, "Remember me? I was here in 2001 and you helped me find my grandma," and they give me a hug. I don't know the city hall is going to care about that.